Yeah. On the interview with Rock Bottom, Eicca Toppinen, is it pronounced rightly?
It's right, yeah.
Perfect, yeah, of Apocalyptica. Yes, you have released a new album right now, Shadowmaker.
Yeah.
It's the first new album for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Since the 7th Symphony album. So what was the reason for this 5 years break? It was not really a break, but no new release for that time.
We had, after releasing 7th Symphony, we had a very intensive tour of 2.5 years. And it was already a longer term plan to have a 1 full year off, when we get that done. And it was, we were supposed to have the full year off, but then came the Wagner Reloaded project came there. So actually I spent most of the off year writing music for that Wagner Reloaded, which we did in Leipzig, the dance production. And when we came back from the break, from the 1 year break, it still took like 1 year to get all the things together, because we did a tour with orchestra. We were releasing the Wagner Reloaded album, the live CD. So there was all the time a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
So in those terms, it was not like a full off year, which the off year was originally planned to be really like nothing. But actually I released 2 albums and built a house during the off year, so it was not very quiet.
No, it's clear. And was it a good aspect to have a so-called break for this time? Because we had new inspiration for Apocalyptica.
Yes, because we also wanted to do some other things. Many times with Apocalyptica, it's so intense, the way how we work here and the amount of touring that there's not so much time to do other projects. And we never had a big break since we released the first album in '96. And I personally, for example, I've had kids all the time, so I also wanted to have a 1 year that I don't need to travel anywhere, to be with kids, when they're still out, like at least teenagers. So, but it was also musically important, because many times, if you just make a record, go on tour, make a new record, go on tour, you start to feed the market.
Yeah.
And actually then suddenly you start to make records because you feel that the fans are expecting you to make a record. A record company is pushing you, to release an album, and you become a factory which doesn't know actually even, why you do it. So it was very good to get distance and really to find out what we feel. We had a good situation. We didn't have a record deal. We were out of record deal, so we were totally free and independent. And when we started to work on the new music together, everybody was super inspired and motivated, and we really had the feeling we want to make a band record, like in the old times, like cult times.
Yeah.
We really made a band record that we delivered everything for the album by ourselves. I think cult, every album has had different kind of guests. So we've been very much depending on other people outside the band, and this time we really wanted to make a band record.
Yeah, that's good. And so you have gotten your mind clear and get no inspiration.
Yes,
so it's a good thing.
Yes, definitely.
Not to burn out.
Yeah, it was really the break was really refreshing, and it was nice to do the Wagner Reloaded, which was massive production, and also the orchestra tour with Avanti, which was also great, but everything was so big and bombastic, which affected the way that when we came from the break, we wanted to go as small as possible, not trying to be so big all the time. So
and it's a band effort, and now you've got a so-called it's a permanent singer. It's Frankie Perez.
Yeah.
So normally you had some guest singers on your album. So now this singer has sung all the songs. So how did you approach him? And is he now a permanent member of Apocalyptica or still a guest musician?
We made a decision about the vocal things. We almost all the music was written for the album. And then we got a few of the vocal tracks and came to the point that we need to find a conclusion how to do it, and making one more record with many guests was not really exciting option, because it's great to make such a records, but then on the other hand, there are too many people involved, too many managers, too many record companies, and it's like a big mess. And we decided, okay, we want to find one singer, and who definitely he needs to be on tour with us, so we can get the album and the tour and connect it better. And we sent out the message inside the music business, and we got a lot of suggestions. We didn't want to have an open hour audition, you know. We didn't want to get 2,000 tapes to be listened for. So we made a selective audition, and out of those, Frankie qualified the best. He was on his own. We just did the audition on tape. Asked him to record certain songs, and he was the best.
Yeah, and will he stay in Apocalyptica after this tour and album? Or
as usual in Apocalyptica, we don't make very long-term plans. So the deal with Frankie is that he makes this record, and the tour on the back of that, which will mean next 2 years, he will be performing with us, and there's no decision what happens after that.
Okay, it's good.
It's very possible that we will make another record with him. Or maybe we make an instrumental record, you know, nobody knows. Yeah. We want to make music that we are living in the moment, you know, and we make the music the way we feel what we want to do this time. It's impossible to decide what kind of album we want to make after 2 years.
Of course.
So therefore we don't want to get stuck on, like with the drummer, Mikko, when he came to the band, he was not a permanent member of the band for 3 first years. He was just hired musician because we didn't know are the drums there to stay or are we going to change the concept. So we want to be flexible.
It's good, yeah. Shadowmaker, it's a new title of the album. It sounds a little bit dark, so what is the lyrical meaning behind Shadowmaker? Is there a lyrical meaning, or how would you see it?
You can think Shadowmaker, it's not a theme album, but you know, it actually started to be we found out that the Shadowmaker, it starts to be the connecting theme on the record, and you can think about Shadowmaker in many ways. That, you know, in the more personal, I think everybody knows a person who can be said that he's a Shadowmaker. Shadowmaker is the person who tries to pull other people down, or push other people down, or kill your creativity, or, you know, shadow your positive energy and stuff like that. So that's a Shadowmaker, but also in the bigger picture, I think that today's world is full of Shadowmakers. Those are the people, mainly the faceless people, you know, who are behind the politics and, you know, behind the big corporates, and, you know, who are actually ruling the world and making decisions and effect on the world, that they are shadowing our lives, you know, in many ways, or terrorists, or you know, groups that try to control with fear, and you know, like corporates who are polluting places, you know, they are overshadowing those local people, you know, and they're polluting their places, and so it's many levels of shadow making, and maybe for us, you know, it's not about the album, but I can also see that this album is our fight against shadow makers, because we've been always living in the musical world which is full of besserwissers. You know, that people who think they know better than we do what we should do musically. So, you know, and they're always saying, like, we've been always told after every album, you can't go away anymore, you know. Apocalyptica story is over, you know. After first album it was same. After second album it was same. After Cult it was same, you know. It was like, and we were still being always fighting against it and trying to follow our own path and have succeeded on that. And this is also our fight against Shadowmakers. There are a lot of fans, or not fans, but a lot of people that say that you should have stayed instrumental. You should have done this and that, and you shouldn't do this and that. And it's like, no, we do it in our way. You know, this is the way how we want to make this record sound, and you know, this is the concept we want to have on the album. And you know, it was funny that, you know, now having no record deal, that four of us, we decided we have got a clear vision what kind of sound we want to have on the album, how we want to do it. And then when we found Frankie and we found the producer Nick Raskulinex, we locked ourselves, 6 of us, in the studio in Tennessee, Nashville, and made a record the way we wanted it to be, and came out when it was ready. And that was first time we started to play the songs to other people. So there was no one involved, nobody outside the band was involved in this process.
That's good. And you mentioned him, the producer Nick Raskulinex. He produced Rush and Stone Sour and Mastodon. He's a very experienced guy. And Shadowmaker is a very accessible album with catchy melodies. So maybe it's your most accessible album. maybe, I'm not quite sure. So how important was he for this great output and the catchy and versatile songs?
He didn't put an effort on the basic composition so much, how the melodies are, but on the arrangement and the approach, that we did a great pre-production period with him, and during that pre-production it was all about that we were rearranging the songs, making sure that every song is coming out right. But the compositions themselves, most of them they existed there. But I think that the pre-production was great, but then also how he was in studio, he was able to create an atmosphere where everybody was all the time inspired, and everybody we were able to give our best performance. He always was like thinking that it's all about the performance, It's not about everything being like 100% detailed right. It's more about having the feel, and the performance, and he was really able to. The most important thing for us why we choose him was that because we had very clear vision. We wanted to have a producer who can understand our vision, and it's not pushing his vision. It's understanding our vision but helping us to achieve it. To get there where we want to get. And Nick really understood what we were looking for, and he was really his effort was big. To get to the final end.
Yeah, and it's But Nick, so I guess maybe a problem for many producers because they are focused on guitar, bass, drums, and all keyboards. But you are mainly based on cellos. So could he understand your music? Because I don't think that he could play cello or some kind like that. So how could he help you, in spite of the fact that he didn't know how to produce a band that is based on cellos?
Yeah, it's like with every producer we have had the same, that they have upfront, they have a vision how to do it, and then we start to do it, they realize no, it doesn't work the way they expected. But we found that Nico wanted to learn from us, everything what we know, because we are the most experienced ones in the world, to record metal with cellos, because that's what we've been doing the last 20 years. And all the time developing and trying to find new things. And so we actually decided this time, we decided not to search the sounds, just to search perfect miking for every take, but then all the things and effects or most of them, they were reamped. So the recorded track was run through the different effects and amplification. And that was the thing that he wanted me to do it all. So he was like, I want to see how you do it. So it was like, I was all the time doing and searching for the sound, and then I was always checking that, what do you think? Are you happy with this? Do you think this could be more cool? Do you think this more or this more, But he gave me a lot of room, to be on hands-on on creating the sounds, and it was very exciting. So it was like a respect that, he didn't want to overrule us and our knowledge. He rather wanted to see how we would do it. And sometimes I was like, I don't get it there, try it. And then Nick came and, he tried something different. And it was really cool. It was fantastic, really good working with him.
The album is very versatile. There are heavy tunes on it like Cold Blood or Shadowmaker, but for example, Hole in My Soul, Sea Song, and Dead Man's Eyes are slow and very emotional songs. So who is responsible for the heavy parts in your music, and who is responsible more for the tender elements? So how do you find the right balance, and how do you create this antagonism, or maybe this difference?
I wrote most of the songs, and many of the songs I did as a co-writer, the vocal tracks. And Perttu wrote 2 songs for the album. I don't know. I think that's in a way that's how Apocalyptica has always been. The combination of raw, tight metal attitude with the extreme beauty. That's how it has been always in a way. And also for this album, we didn't have any dogmas. We didn't want to be dogmatic. We need to have this and this amount of instrumentals against vocal tracks, or we need to have this and this type of songs. It was more about focusing, writing great songs, not thinking about how metal it should be or
Yeah.
what it should be. It was more about writing music that we felt that this sounds fresh and exciting. And it's a lot of slow songs, but in a way also the slow emotional feels that fits for the cello really well. And I must say that in my opinion, this album is the most cello-ish album since many of the previous our records, since long time. Even it's hard and the drums are really kicking strong, but it's still it's very much about cello.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everything is played by cello like usually, but I think it's less guitar type of cello than on the two previous albums. But I think it was more about we just liked that these were the right songs for the album.
Yeah, no, I like these songs very much, very heavy, but also very tender parts, very accessible, and I like it very much, I must admit. So there are 3 instrumentals. Okay, the first is the starter, the opener, 2 instrumental, 3 instrumental. So are instrumentals harder to compose than vocal songs, or how do you approach an instrumental musically?
There's actually more. I think you have the Jewel Box version, but there is a version where 2 more songs actually, and there's one big instrumental is missing from that. That was kind of a mistake why it's missing, but sometimes you make mistakes in the last second. But it's hard to say. I used to write more instrumental than vocal music in the past. But then I just found it so challenging to write vocal tracks, and in this record, for example, the last song, "The Dead Man's Size," that was originally 2 instrumental songs, and then we'd combine the best elements of those 2 instrumentals. Still, we thought that it's not 100% right, and the fact that we had a singer with us on the pre-production and rehearsing, Frankie was there. We were like, okay, Frankie, pick up the cello melody, and sing it. And we're like, okay, this is the way to go. So it turned out from instrumental to vocal track because it just worked out better as a vocal track. And maybe on instrumental music, you need to have usually more elements, or at least I feel that. I'm missing that there needs to be much more elements, to make it exciting and keep it going. Where in vocal music you can, with the lyrics, changing lyrics, you can repeat same things but still give new meanings to the same melodies. But on instrumental music, I feel that it should be more going forward.
And and if you see it, so you mentioned it before, you were a 4-cellist band in the beginnings. Now you've got a singer and a drummer. If you see it that way, so where are the pros and the cons of your current line-up compared to your beginnings with the original line-up, your 4 cellists? Either pros and cons, how would you see it?
I think in the very beginning we were just a bunch of friends, who played cello and wanted to play heavy metal together. So I don't even consider the 2 first albums they made. We were not really a band. We were just, a bunch of friends. And I think then on the Cult album we started to search for the musical identity for ourselves, and now we are still on the same path, searching, developing, learning new things, trying to find something new, for our music. And I really now strongly feel first time having one singer on the record and who is also playing it, because we had a singer on the shows for last 6-7 years already, but it didn't feel like a band on those terms, because the singers they were not singing on the records, and they were just nobodies for audience. People didn't know. Suddenly some dude is coming in and singing something, which was kind of strange. So now I think it will still take time for people to learn new Apocalyptica. I think so. People have to hear the album and see us live to understand how we feel the band at the moment, because now after we played maybe 30 shows this year so far with Frankie, and we really feel it's very tight together. Of course we still do the instrumental stuff, we do still the stuff without drums, in the shows, because We have our history, you know.
So and your drummer isn't drumming all the time?
Not all the time, most of the time, yes. But you know, we want to have also the moments that, you know, where we just go just detailed in the cello music, you know, for a moment. And the singer is not there all the time. Obviously, no. I think more than half of the show is usually without. It's the instrumentals.
Great.
But still, there are so many great vocal tracks, so it would be kind of strange not to have a singer, you know, partly on the show. So it's a combination of Apocalyptica history, but now with Frankie, it really feels like a good, and it feels really like a band on stage.
And can Frankie sing the songs that were recorded with guest musicians before in the same way? Are you contented with his?
Yes, we haven't tried everything, but now what we are going to try next, you know, we want to try that how it fits, you know, how it would feel that he will do Path Volume 2, which is originally Sandro Nasic singing that.
Yeah.
But we have plans to try, but we haven't had time yet, you know, to try everything. But he's been doing I'm Not Jesus, I Don't Care, Not Strong Enough, End of Me, you know, all the bigger vocal tracks from the past as well.
Oh yeah, good.
He's capable to do everything basically. He's very good.
You mentioned it before the interview. We're on tour as a supporting act of 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Yeah. So and now you will go back to America as a headliner. So how do the Americans, accept your music, and how are the reactions in the United States, maybe compared to Europe? Is it a difference?
It's not so much difference. Of course, now the super tour. I was asking, you know, we played rooms like 1,500 to 4,000. And I asked every night, how many of you have seen Apocalyptica before? And maybe only 30, 40 hands were right. So it was totally new, fresh audience. And it was great to see, you know, the reaction, the enthusiasm, like, oh, I never heard anything like this. Of course, it's different because in Europe, our fan base has been following us longer. But still, we have a longer term fan base in America, and I think the reaction is pretty much the same all around the world. And we are really looking forward for the. I'm very excited about the autumn tour. You know, it's the headlining tour in Europe, because I consider that's the main tour, you know, this year for us. Every tour is important and exciting in its own way, but you know, meeting the old fans all across Europe with our own production and everything, like making the whole thing, you know, that's the main goal for this year.
Yeah, and it will be in October. So, and do you have a special stage design or some?
Yeah, we are working on it, of course, because we want to have a production. As you can see from the artwork, we think our music pretty visual as well, and we feel that it's important that the visual image talks with the music. So we are preparing a really cool looking show for the tour.
Okay, interesting to hear. Eicca, thank you for this nice interview. Have success with this new album, Shadowmaker, and the forthcoming tour worldwide. Yeah, all the best wishes.
Thank you very much.